Man, you can go anywhere in the world to get a couple of lies, but you come right here to get the truth. The truth. Tell them that we coming. Just tell them that we coming. Lock it in. Lock the door.
Because the game is going to send you a bill. Guess what?
Back again.
We're back.
Episodes, huh?
And we're back with another 2, not 1. And I want to open this up with as much pop as we possibly can.
Let's pop, baby.
Pop it.
You know how you pop it? Let's stay official, like a referee's whistle. Mm-hmm. What is the number one concern today for human beings? Anybody know?
Shit, RICO.
Bingo! RICO, baby. What does RICO stand for, Mel?
Racketeering. I forget all the different acronyms, but
it means you're not coming home no more. Okay? And the reason that we want to talk about this is because the governor done slid new commerce laws in there. Did you know that?
Damn.
They're
For smash and grab.
Mel was sharing some stuff about RICO and the history of RICO. Who was the first? Mel, you said who was the first person?
The first person that was ever tried on the RICO Act was Al Capone, and it was meant as a tax. RICO was really slated to be for tax evasion, people that committed tax, cheated on their taxes, and Al Capone was the first one. They couldn't get Al Capone on any other charges, but they got him on the RICO, which was a tax for not paying his taxes.
And you know what the bill the game sent him for that other than incarceration? They gave him syphilis.
Damn, that was
he
his
died of
result.
syphilis. Yeah, I assume he died of syphilis. But what's interesting about was
Racketeering, influence, and corruption organization.
There you go.
There you go.
And a lot of youngsters don't know that they have this other program. I think it's called Safe Cities now, in which if they catch you with a firearm and you're in a gang, and they refer it over and give you the Crip Mac pack and send you over to the feds.
Pack. Right to the feds, huh?
Right. So
But you know, Malik, with this RICO stuff, nowadays people don't follow what is right. They follow what they like, who they like, and what they believe in, or that's what they,
Yeah, no, but everything comes with
They
consequences.
defend who they like or who they benefit from. Let me put it that way.
And what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that, so if they indicted me under RICO, they're not gonna get that much. But if they indict Young Thug or they indict high-profile rappers, then or like NBA YoungBoy, then that sweeten the pot, sweeten the pie, so to speak, because these individuals have not only influence, they have money, they have connection, they have everything that a RICO Act is surrounded around, what a RICO Act is about, because now they have changed the dynamics of the RICO Act, and now they can go after the slave. For instance, we know there's freedom of speech, First Amendment, but now they're using people's creativity, poetry and words to
intellectual property.
Yes, the intellectual property to criminalize it.
Well,
when it's
use
not
it as cooperation,
Yes.
as a witness to yourself. You testify on yourself. But like you said, that has a lot of things to do with freedom.
But we
of
know
speech.
that a lot of this rap stuff started out of the studio, so that made them studio gangsters,
Right.
not street.
Well, the first people that were victims of the freedom of speech situation was Luke and them out of Miami when they came under fire for the songs that they made during the era of their reign in the music industry. When they came out with the booty shaking songs and stuff like that, and they was trying to get rid of Dolores Tucker and that whole crew was out, trying to. Which I understand Sister Dolores Tucker, rest in peace. I understand her perspective because maybe she had prognosticated some things that is true, like with rap degradation of black women and women in general. Is that the right word?
Misogyny and degradation.
Your degradation.
Disparaging.
It did happen. It occurred. You know what I'm saying? Whether we like it or not. But
here it is. That's a form of commerce, though, because if you're getting paid for your intellectual thoughts and someone is getting paid and it's a breakdown, I mean, why is the target when it comes to the prosecution side, where you're targeting young guys who are all a part of this one entity? Because it's one entity. There's only one way the money goes, and it's broken down in a lot of different pieces. So, but what we talk about is how this whole prosecution is aimed at. To me, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I have to also observe what I see. So what I'm saying is that how a lot of this prosecution and targeting is targeting people on a higher level when it comes to big money. And so we're not just talking about Young Thug and them, their case, but what's going on with P. Diddy, what's going on with Russell, what's going on with a lot of our
Well, one thing
different
they all have in
influence.
common that they all black.
Well, another thing that they have
Is that coincident?
well, it's not a coincidence, but another thing they have in common is that they're all getting attacked from the waist down. Most, the majority of them. You know what I mean? From in other places, there's people getting attacked for financial crimes and things of that nature. But it seems like all of our rappers and intellectuals that are on that level are getting hit with either freedom of speech or they're getting hit from the waist down. It's cool to have a perfect love and a perfect hate. The perfect love is your mother, your God, your family, your possessions that you own and maintain your stability and your stability. And the perfect hate is poverty, incarceration, betrayal, things of that nature. But on the contrary, when you think about it, it's like, why is all the black men getting hit from the waist down? The brother that's the Jonathan dude, the actor, he's got hit from the waist down. P. Diddy hit from the waist down. Several others, they got even a special courtroom in New York where they just handle rappers and things of that nature, high profile cases. And I've seen situations where the whole courtroom is filled with people that are in the industry that had some sort of sex crime allegedly put against them. So you got to be very careful when we say that these people are guilty, because at the end of the day, for example, if I was a hate group and I put out hateful information, I don't think they're just going to get the distributors or the mailmen that put the pamphlets or leaflets on people's cars. They're going to go after the organization like they did when the black dude got handed over the Ku Klux Klan's property. By the way, I knew that gentleman. But what I'm saying is, if that's the case with Young Thug, for example, and he's putting out some music that's being held against him, against his Fifth Amendment rights without his advice. That's what it sounds like to me, that he was not given his Fifth Amendment. He did not have a chance to exercise the Fifth Amendment rights before making that song to declare that this is something that has absolutely nothing to do. It's just fiction. So it's like art imitating life. But my point is, they should go after the record companies because they put out this information. So if I got a hate group, and if I'm in the Black Panthers or something, which is not a hate group, but it's an organization, a nationalist organization, they don't just go after the people that are putting out the flyers in the cars. They go after the people that's disseminating the information. So who disseminates the information with the sexy reds or the killer music or the drill music? It's the industry. Am I correct? Check me if I'm not right.
No, it's all business. I'm looking at that's why I mentioned about being a crime of commerce, because if you're saying you're an organization and you have a structure, okay, you're going after somebody that has a structure, because this is a legal way. This ain't no just come arresting you for rape. This is something that grabs more than one person in the acts of crimes. So you have a legal entity. Not only are you supposed to attack that in a certain way, but you're supposed to run that all the way up to where the money flows and goes.
Exactly. That's my
point. Because if
you're
using money to influence your organization to do certain things, that's another form of something that should have been added. But to look at is that, you go back is that you have a grand jury that people normally supposed to panel that's supposed to hear all these different testimonies that you go present in a trial. So when we're talking about this RICO thing, it's like it's just not, it just seems like it stays. It seems like it's something that's made for reality television. What you see what's going on out there in Atlanta with those brothers and stuff like that, because it's a lot of characters. And then we have a prosecutor who's having an affair, and it's like a
Fannie Willis.
Yeah, it's like a soap opera.
Well, Georgia say they don't play baseball. 2 strikes.
Damn, that sounds like tennis to me. Well, I'm going to tell you something, to be honest with you. I believe that there is a bigger picture concerning why the hidden hand is all of a sudden going after the wealth, the generational wealth of these deities or entities, whatever you decide to look at them like, for their wealth at the bottom of the ninth. I mean, it doesn't cease to amaze me that I wrote an article once for the Los Angeles Sentinel newspaper, in which I said I took a play out of Tupac's book, and it was called Tales of a Black Celebrity. And I went through the whole list of celebrities from the 60s to like the early 2000s, and not one, all the way down to almost Oprah Winfrey, has been incarcerated. Queen Latifah had cuffs put on her before, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, listening audience. R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Martin Luther King,
Jim Brown.
The list goes on. Just keep a Flavor Flav. It's too many to mention. Young
Dr.
Thug,
Dre,
Tupac Shakur, Easy E.
Easy.
You know, all these entities have been arrested. How is it that you're an entertainer? Then when you go on the other side of the tracks, I've never seen no handcuffs put on Britney Spears or Whitney, the other group. What's her name? Taylor Swift. Or none of those.
Even
people.
when her behavior was odd, and they was, saying that they was calling it, she was having mental breakdowns or whatever, but they never put handcuffs on
She
her.
walked right past me going down the street. I was living near Encino, and I was walking past a barbershop off of Ventura Boulevard, and she walked right past me with her hair shaved. And I didn't know who she was because back then it was unusual to see a woman with her hair shaved. It was like, this is a new thing. And when she walked by, I was like, that's Britney Spears. And she had shaved all her hair. Then immediately I went to my capitalistic entrepreneur spirit. I was like, maybe if I go in that barbershop and get that hair, I could sell it, So that's just a fantasy. But I believe that we need to enlighten the public and the youngsters in particular about how they're being targeted for things that are just natural to do. It's almost impossible to not be able to sing about your conditions and not include or incriminate yourself in some sort of way based on somebody else's rules and regulations.
But here it is, as a taxpaying citizen, we have an option because we from our tax money and through these departments and through these agencies, they use that money to selectively. What I'm looking at is selective. This is not something that, that couldn't be corrected, that you don't have to spend multi-millions of dollars towards when you have a homeless situation, you have an unemployment situation, you have black men not having houses. What's the choices it is for us to have the type of influence to, a district attorney is voted in. They're able to be, get caught out on their bullshit. So we talking about millions of dollars we seeing from a corporate side of it, and we using law to be selective and going after people who, we look at all the stuff that we hear on in regarding these cases. Some is, but if you knew about these situations, you had an opportunity to correct it or intervene. That's what we talk about, intervention. So should more money be not allocated towards selective prosecution, especially when you're going after people who have influence, who can use their influence to do other things. Like back in the days, people who committed crimes in Europe was able to come over here to America to practice religion instead of going to jail, but the crimes were similar. So, but out here, it's like people who become successful in a certain era. It's like, how do we control these people? And at the end of the day, something that Jim Brown told me, he said that most of our celebrities end up dying broke. So I'm looking at the whole thing, whereas that was taught to you, but he's seen something in his era, in his generation, as it relates to people who have power, compared to us now looking at our generation, people who become influential and have a little power, how they going through the same process and end up dying broke.
I think one of the problems that we have in our culture is that we don't have socialization programs. And what I mean by that is that a lot of our people become very rich or very successful, or they have a multitude of talent, but they've never been socialized to have money or know banking, financing, and other things, and how to do investments. So they get this money, and then they run out and do some of the wrong things. Some of the biggest, more black people buy Mercedes and Rolex than any other group of people. But yet we're under the poverty line. How is that happening? We have a $2.2 trillion GDP, gross domestic product. If we were a country, we're seventh. We'd be the seventh richest country in the world. I'm talking about black people. So we don't have a money problem. We have money management problems. So I'm gonna say this, youngsters. Listen, I'm gonna take my glasses off of this. Keep your walls high, your circle small. You'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. What I mean by that, a lot of you have a lot of individuals around you that's not going to be useful, or they don't bring nothing to the table, or they don't add no value to who you are and what you are. So you have to, I know you love them. Your people, they might be some of your relatives, but you can't have them doing security. You can't have them protecting your money. You can't have them doing certain jobs. There may be some jobs for them, but those jobs are not for them. You got to have somebody that knows finances, somebody that knows investment.
Ain't that taking money out the hood?
It's still in the hood because you can always hire John Hope Bryan, who's out of Compton, who's a financial genius.
Because here it is, the way they justify and criminalize us, because a lot of us have backgrounds. And our backgrounds are financial backgrounds, be it that we sold drugs, robbed, snatched a purse. These are still considered financial decisions based upon whatever your pursuit was in your educational level. And so we know we're dealing with a population when we call ourselves poor people. You know, it's like even though you're rich, you're still poor because you didn't get it through academic. You got it through your skills and talent. That don't make you educated. So we got a lot of rich, uneducated brothers, then we got a lot of poor, uneducated people. And so when a person, I feel, gets a chance to, you know, I'm an Allen Iverson. I come up out of the hood. I become rich. So I still got all my friends. So how do we integrate our people into our circle?
Education, like LeBron did his 4 or 5 friends.
There you go. I was going to mention LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Is that the model that should be talked about so that we can prevent a lot of our brothers from getting caught up in all these RICOs?
That's part of the socialization program, because if you add that educational to it, that component, then it becomes part of the scenario that get people to the next level. Because now everybody just ain't looking at Bron. Now you got $1 million, he got $1 million, I got $1 million, or maybe 2 or 3 million, whatever it is. We don't need Bron. We just need Bron to help us, you know, to formulate it, but give us the play, but let us, you know, be successful
that goes back to that group of middle class brothers or rich brothers, and because that's a circle now. We have more. Malika always says this. We have more brothers that's millionaires than ever.
In the history of the United States.
But the problem with that is that these brothers are not collectively together. And so what happened is that, you know, you don't have a collective. And like I said, if LeBron has a model, how he demonstrated taking some of his homies and putting them in legitimate positions. And then, you know, these guys are Rich Paul and these guys are out here doing some great, fabulous things. But this is a business model. But this business model, what I'm trying to say is, my opinion is that need to be shared with all the other grassroots athletes who come up out of these situations who still want to integrate, you know, with the people they grew up with, but don't know how to do it because some of us might have decorated backgrounds. And so when somebody's watching you, especially an NBA company that has police that watch everybody and watch your actions, because, you know, you doing something out here put a stain on the brand, which is the NBA. And so they being watched. And so if you got a different people around you that's decorated, that's not always, that's not trying to get integrated and, you know, legitimize himself as a business entity, then you have these issues what Young Thug is having. You know, we gotta, you know, be able to educate those brothers. And sometimes we can't reach them. You know, we just, you know, brothers that's talking. But the brothers that can reach them is a LeBron. Is a successful what Westbrook is doing. You know what I'm saying? Buying houses and, you know, successfully integrating our people to turn them into entities so that the money can, you know, hit the grassroots. That's what Jim always talk about. Jim always talk about athletes getting famous and rich and leaving the community and never come back. And it ain't that they can't come back, because I have to put myself in their shoes too. They represent a brand. And coming back, you become like a god, a deity, because of your celebrity status. And you got to know how to integrate that.
We all saw what happened to Nipsey.
Get caught up in a RICO.
And that's my next point is that Nipsey, there's an old saying, you know, you speak to the people in the language in which they understand. And one thing that was unique about Nipsey is that he came back, even in one of the lyrics in his songs saying, you get the information and you go to the hood and give it right back. You know, you verbally regurgitate it. But one thing about Nipsey is that he taught from a commerce perspective. Him and Black Sam, salute to Black Sam. Salute. We see you out there still pushing your brother's product and your family. God bless y'all. And we wish you a successful journey. But on the contrary, the language in which you speak to the people is very important, because oftentimes you have to remember, and again, going back to Brother Nipsey Hussle, our ancestors, which gives him that supreme wisdom and right, a lot of people are going to run the marathon. That's our people. That's the 85%ers. There's going to be water bottles spilled, knees hurt, people falling out, cramps, people cheering. You know, they're going to do that. But then brothers like us and the ones that you guys just mentioned that are successful, they're in the victory lap. And it's a difference in the victory lap. So when you hear exactly, so when you hear a brother say he grinding all his life, his circle, your circle has to be the size smaller than the inside of a Cheerio. Let me say it again. When you're dealing with a circle, your circle has to be smaller than the inside of a Cheerio, and that's too big. Because you know why? Everybody can't go. It's not that you don't want to take everybody.
Isn't that the same thing Nat Turner and Harry Tubman said?
Well, no, the one that was unique they said that, but the one that was unique was Harriet Tubman. When she came to get you to go, to run into the victory lap, and you didn't go, she had that little skirt with that pistol underneath there and to buck you so you wouldn't go back and tell Slave Master what the plan was. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of different reasons why people are not responding. For example, with the conversations going on with the Crips and Bloods, thank God for Compton and little brothers from 8 Trace, 60s, 40s, Inglewood families, you know, all them little brothers and sisters, the rappers, the Munchie Bees, the Kev Mac videos, you know, all those people that are really trying, those conversations are important because those conversations plant seeds. And then once the masses of the people, 100% dissatisfaction does what? Brings about 100% change. So I'm going to say it again. 100% dissatisfaction brings about 100% change. Meaning when the people are 100% dissatisfied, then something else is going to happen.
Well, here, what you're saying is that's true. They have to do that because, like you say, you know, there's an Olympic that's coming to Los Angeles in 4 years from now. And as you see, our community has been, they like transitioning.
It's shift.
It's shifting. And the reason of that, because there's a lot of money finna come here to Los Angeles as a whole. Los Angeles is only so many square miles. And everybody within that zip code is represent the city. It's coming to the city. So everything has been impacted on that. And the reason why crime should not exist today, because there's gonna be a RICO. Because, you know, you have so much crime that's happening because of the inflations and the cost of living. So everybody ain't gonna make it because everybody ain't gonna get the message. But what we trying to do is bring forth a message to prevent what we talk about today is RICOs. You know, RICO is something that you can go and arrest 20 people at a time. The foundation of it.
Just for talking on the phone to somebody.
And just because y'all all grew up together and y'all all live in a neighborhood and y'all all hustling in different directions because y'all know each other, that's like an organized set of crime, but without a structure. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's important for us to understand
they call that a conspiracy.
Yeah, how to incorporate your business. And like you say, you run your business like a business. You know, run it just like LA open up and close. The city of LA is a corporation. It opens and it closes. It's the biggest bank besides all the small banks. All the small banks work with the big bank, which is the corporation, which is the city of Los Angeles that we live in. So us as individuals, you know, we're gonna say individuals, and even though they want to label us, we have to be able to ward off certain prosecutions because there's a winner and loser in this battle. Because, you know, it's big money coming. And so to reduce us to a certain size, they know they got to give us some, but as long as they give us a small portion, that we don't have no control over things. And so crime pays for everybody. Then in the end, if we don't clean our acts up out here, then it's going to pay big, and then we're going to reduce us to nothing.
I want to add something else to the conversation because I don't want us to miss this part as well, is the fentanyl epidemic. We just lost another rapper, Rich Homie Quan, to fentanyl. So a lot of people are under the impression that people are overdosing. They're not overdosing because the overdose, you have to take an enormous amount of pills or something that's over the uses amount.
Prescription usage.
So what's happening is that they're being poisoned because the Percocets, the Vicodins, and all the other different cocaine or whatever medicine they put in this fentanyl in is actually they're being poisoned. And this seems to be happening a lot more because I lost a nephew to it. My homeboy Gangster lost a son. I'm sure you guys know somebody that's lost.
I lost a nephew. My nephew, they found him in a trash can.
I lost over 20 people to that in the last 4 or 5 years.
So I think that's another conversation we need to have because once again, this is the Truce, and tell them that we coming because we're going to talk about politics, religion. We're going to talk about the streets. We're going to talk about just a multitude, and we're going to talk about finances and rap. We're going to talk about hip-hop culture. You hop in, you hop out. Malik coined that phrase. Shout out to him for that because he explained it quite well. But we don't want to be pigeonholed to just talking about one thing. We want to talk societal issues,
We want to address,
especially
we want to address issues that's dear to us, that's impacting us negatively.
Yes.
And the Truce, like you said, it's a platform to bring all that stuff together. It means that we're going to have a deep dive and examination. We're going to talk about the pros and the cons so that we can get it from both sides, because there's a pro and there's a con, on both sides.
And that's
So we
why
gotta
it's
speak to
important for our
both.
people to understand chemistry, biology, physics, mathematics, and science, because those 5 things explains a great deal, a lot. The mathematics is the space and the time and the number of it, but the science is when you understand the biology, how it comes about, and the biology is actually going into when you dissect society. And I'm using that as a paraphrase to understand what metaphor.
Yeah, no, you definitely
to understand what we're doing. But then the physics is definitely dealing with time and space.
I want to say something. Before I let Malik go, I want to interject on the thing when we talk about overdosing and what's out there on these streets. Because once upon a time, we all engaged in that lifestyle. I engaged in it, and so there's always a purity in things when you're dealing with these narcotics.
When I sold drugs, I had 10 years at least of bad luck.
Yeah.
From stealing drugs.
And it's a schedule too. So most people don't understand when you're dealing with fentanyl, it's a generic synthetic form of opium, heroin. And
that's all it is. It's opium.
And there is, this is the reason why most people go to jail, because if you have a license, you're a pharmacist. You know how to distribute the fentanyl, because you're going to give them instructions.
Like you know my story. Man. I went to the feds for being a pharmacist without a license.
But without a license, man, that's all it is.
Like you know my story.
It's health and safety laws. That's all it is. You get a license, you can sell fentanyl. As long as you package it, and you have your packaging, you have your label, and you have your codes, you can sell fentanyl, cocaine, and everything all day.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. So here it is to the audience out there, the people that's dealing in this stuff that don't understand all this Schedule 2, Schedule 3, and Schedule 1. If you having things that's laced in fentanyl, and if you taking things that's generically tainted with fentanyl, you can overdose, because you're only supposed to take fentanyl because it's a drug that helps relieve pain 2 times a day. It's every 12 hours. So if you just imagine got things and you drinking and you smoking or you popping and you doing this, you're gonna overdose because you're taking it more than what's allowed for your body. So your body's shut down. And if you don't have nobody there to revive you, you're gonna be a cold turkey. So that's just education for a lot of people, because what's out here in these streets is not what was out here in the 70s and 80s. It's something that's interjected into all that stuff, which gives people a different effect when they hit you. And some of the stuff is mixed with psychotropic. That's why if you don't have anxiety, don't ever take Xanax, because you're going to have anxiety, because now you're hooked. So it's like, we got to educate our population, because it's a gateway drug because of all the stress due to the cost of living and people memory being gentrified, and you having memories of your people lost and died. These are just triggers to try to alleviate ourselves. But I want to talk to the audience out here, especially our young brothers and our young sisters, because y'all looking raggedy. You got to understand that recreational high has to be cautioned, or else we're going to continue to bury you guys. And we're losing, on average, 70,000 people a year in dealing with this whole fentanyl genetic crisis. So we have to be smart and educated, because we want to see everybody. But we can't tell everybody nothing, because we know that everybody is going through things, right?
Right. Go ahead, Malik. I got something.
No, I was gonna add on to what you guys were conversing about. I have a homegirl, dear friend of mine, who's a mortician, and I probably have told you guys this story once before, and we should have her on as a guest. She was telling me one day, she called me like, Malik, there's all these young people, man, are in the mortuary. That's when around the time they had the 40 days, 40 night type situation. So she kept running to the mortuary every night to deal with this crisis.
100 nights and 100 days.
Yeah, right. So the sister told me one day, she said, Malik, there seems to be a influx of young black people, young males, especially the light-skinned pretty boys with the tattoos and the pretty girls, that I'm doing autopsies on in the mortuary, that their parents are bringing them in and they're just dying in their sleep. And they're like, they didn't know what it was. They didn't know it was the overdosage of the fentanyl. But because I used to be an ex-fool drug dealer / manufacturer of PCP, which, by the way, the acronym stands for Please Consider the Plot, I understand the chemical imbalances when it comes to inducing drugs into your system. not only did I manufacture it, but I knew the consequences of its actions, and I've seen it with my own eyes because it was designed in such a way that we wanted to get these results. And the drugs that they're selling today is far more nuclear than the drugs that we were playing with as kids. You know, like Ozzy Osbourne has like said once before, like, where are these kids that they getting their drugs from? I done took every kind of drug they got, but he's not dead. So is there a different pharmaceutical in the streets for Ozzy Osbourne and the rock stars that bite bat heads and eat cats and do all this type of shit? And then
they eating our dogs. They eating our cats.
You know, they eating our drugs. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, by the way, man, my dog the other day, man, this little puppy that I got, this Malinois, this motherfucker ate a ½ ounce of keef. And was sitting there wobbling.
Did you have
like
to take
this.
him to the vet? Because usually
I didn't take him to the vet because they only had Haitian vets, and then I was going on some stereotypical stuff that they was gonna eat them. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to accept it.
Stop passe, bro.
I'm just saying. I know that's not true, but just look how easy it is to put stuff into the mind of people.
Yeah, let me add this, right? During the ecstasy era, MDA, right? The reason why those guys made so much money, they had a megaton of money, right? Because the chemicals that they used to make it wasn't listed in the by the DEA.
That's the
Any
same way with
chemical and
fentanyl.
compound that's listed in the DEA, they can prosecute you and arrest you on it. It took 2 years for them to list the chemicals, but prior to that, all the individuals that made all that money, if they had a stop before they made them known, listed on the DEA list of drugs that you can be prosecuted for, they just would have been rich and lived happy ever after, and the government wouldn't have been able to touch them. But being the fact that most of them was so greedy, they went on the line, the government came back and got
But now you
all
saying
of
government, guess what? Who ran the biggest LSD underground program in the history of the world?
Timothy Leary, the government.
The government.
With Timothy Leary, he was
Timothy
experimenting.
Leary. Okay, and I believe that dude that be on Venice Beach that Johnny Cochran and bought in, I'm not certain, but you know the one that had the white turban on? I think it's him. And the other, he's
The
the
guy
one
on
that,
the skates?
I believe he's the one that broke the DNA code. Look up that dude that they bought in the court. Johnny and them cleaned him up. He was drugged out, smoked out. But this nut is the one
I
that
thought
broke
you
the
were talking
code.
about Yahweh Ben Yahweh or somebody.
I mean, you
When you
know,
talking about government, we gotta identify who what government, because we got a nigga named Young Woody. This nigga work for the government. He over there being a fool.
yeah, well, you know, and Young Woody has redefined.
He's a Monterey, what's the name? The Bull? Sammy the Bull.
Yeah, well, I think
He got bodies,
I think what Young Woody did.
and he told,
Yeah.
and he walking around like they ain't got to carry the world.
But what's the other guy named in Santa Monica that they cracked?
Oh, Whitey Bulger?
Whitey Bulger.
Oh, they got him. They just did something to the guy that actually killed Whitey Bulger just the other day.
Okay, but you know who my hero is? That brother they call Black Jesus, the one that killed Jeffrey Dahmer. I gotta send him some top ramen.
I was in the feds with the guy, the JDL. What was his name? Earl Kugel and Reuben.
Yeah.
Reuben, right? I was in there, and they put him under so much pressure. He came out of his cell one day and just jumped off the secretary and
I was in there with the
and
Skid Row
died on the
Smash.
pool table.
That's a true cop.
Herb Reuben.
Yeah.
That's a true cop. Most cops commit suicide when they are faced with having to testify on their comrades.
Yeah, and they smashed Earl's head over there in Phoenix. And they smashed his head on the
Well, how did allegedly the Venezuelan gangs that took that beautiful watch from somebody, unfortunately on Wilshire, that $1 million Felipe Patek or whatever it is.
Felipe,
how did they
that's
manage,
a high dollar watch there,
How did
bro.
they manage to get
Trillion.
How did they manage to get Christopher Dorner's gun? That's kind of strange. They got busted with Christopher Dorner, who was the LAPD shoot 'em up man. Now then you go back again, and it's like rewind the tape. How did OJ and what's the brother name that was with OJ? His homeboy that was in the white Bronco with him.
Al Calvin.
How did
ain't
Al
shit,
and
man.
OJ come up with the brother they used to do the intervention around us with his gun in the car? That gun that OJ had belonged to the LAPD dude that's deputy chief right now. I believe he just retired. How are these correlations taking place like this? Are we not included in this movie?
One thing we do is always follow the money. So when you follow the money, you know what I'm saying, behind door number 4, you'll know who it is.
The Wizard of
Tracking the money.
Oz.
How much money are we investing into these things? All these RICOs and all these
What's behind the appearance is the reality, always.
It's just.
How many police do you think have been given their regular 8-hour shifts since the brothers in the streets have not been killing and shooting each other? How much money have LAPD lost in the sheriffs?
We know how much money they leave on the table, because here it is, the way cities operate. That's why I say the city is the biggest bank, and every year the city collects all of our money, and they say, hey, we collected $2 trillion, more than we collected last year. So they
draw taxes off of that,
and all the departments bid for it. You know what I'm saying? So you got 24 different departments in the city that bids for the money that they finna split up. So that's how it goes. So the thing is that with all these people that works for the system, it's just a flow of money. So it is what it is, man.
What I want to say, in perhaps conclusion of this conversation with furthermore to come, is that I want to send us a special, not closing remarks, but I want to do a commentary of some sort. Here's my commentary. Please, to the people who run Los Angeles, who have the influence, with all due respect, please show us the parity and racial equality that we need. Meaning, when you stop and you call all of us Angelinos, I may not live in Los Angeles. I might live in San Bernardino, or I may not speak that language.
What does that mean?
That's an indoctrination. Because then what happens is people that come here that are not of this culture. See, we grew up with different cultures. We didn't, like, for example, with the Hispanic community. We grew up with the Hispanic culture. We shared families, we shared food, we shared supplies. You borrowed my hammer, I give you a nail, that thing. We didn't grow up under the Cholo Act. See, Cholo and culture is two different entities. Cholo is more prison, segregation, anti-black in some instances, or just pure vadio for themselves, which is rightfully so. Everyone should be proud of where they're from and who they are. Whereas the culture, we grew up next door, first time trying tamales, busting the piñata. So when you have a situation where the gangs are not murdering and killing each other, and they're looking at each other's culture, as opposed to the homies being anything other than California revolutionaries in politics, which is Crips, pushing peace and prosperity and giving Medea a break and putting the mortuary out of business. See, we got to put the cemetery out of fucking business. Once again, little homies, we are out to kill the nigga within, and then we're out to put the mortuaries and the courts and the jails out of business. Because right now they got mad job security. So we got to get rid of that and let them dollars come to something else. And give Medea a break, man, with these funerals and these little kids. Because when you shoot a man in the streets or you kill him, you just killed the whole family. Like, I've been to these houses, man, when the news come, little such and such done got hit. And then the little boy that's 5 and 4 years old, all of a sudden he become a 15-year-old. Because he's watching everybody screaming. So you don't just do that and then think you're getting away with just one individual that you got at.
Kill the killers that kill the innocent.
You killed the innocent, man.
Kill the killers.
Just like you're innocent.
Kill the killers that kill the innocent. Do you understand the difference between a cholo and a pachuco?
Break it down.
Cholos are the individuals that you see on the street that wear their clothes in a particular way that is tied to gangs, and when they go to prison, they become one gang. A pachuco is a guy that dresses up in like the zoo suits, and they have the look, and they do parties, and they low ride in the big bombs. When you see them in the big bombs, those are the pachucos. But a lot of times we look at them and categorize them as cholo. They're not cholo, they're pachucos. So that I just wanted,
and here at the Truce Show, let it be duly noted that we are definitely not anti-migrant, immigrant, or anything of that nature, or slave for that matter. Because we're just here to speak for ourselves, because self-preservation is the first law of nature. And collectively speaking, black people are the most generous, accepting individuals on the planet. You know how I know? Look at our communities. You could be from anywhere under any status, rich, poor, black, green, white, healthy or unhealthy. We accept you in. From Koreans to Mexicans to Chinese, to everyone, man. We have the biggest heart in the universe, except for everyone except for ourselves.
We share our music, we share our fashion, we share our culture, we share every aspect of our life with other cultures and other people.
And you know another reason why black people in Los Angeles in particular stressed out? Because we're so compassionate that we take on the crisis of a migrant. We'll take on the crisis of a homeless person. We'll take on the crisis of a little white child that's got hit by a car, God forbid, on a Malibu PCH. We absorb everyone's pain, man. And the way that we absorb it, it comes in such a way that we create subcultures. Music and rap and jazz. That's why I wish I'd have got turned on to jazz early in life.
It's like I say, it's just a new renaissance. And what we got to do is, first thing first, is reconstruct and get some seats around here so we can begin to build on this piece. That's the ultimate thing, is building on something that is going to be beneficial for generations to come. And right now, with us and what's going on, I mean, it's not going to be easy. But like I say, I think that, we're on the right path. We're going to use our platform. We're going to use this Truce platform. If people feel like they got conflict, y'all want to come in and mend your conflict and being able to get it out to the public in the right way. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the most important thing, is the information and the way the information is being disseminated to the community. If it's coming out or if it's not coming out, then people draws an opinion, because, a lot of us are suffering out here in these streets. There's a lot of conflicts, a lot of hatreds, a lot of history of that. So it's not going to happen overnight, but like I say, as long as we put God first and we use what God give us. God give us a platform. We got a platform with a name since we came out. With the name with Truce, you know what I'm saying? Ever since, the Bloods coming together, the Crips coming together. We're going to address the politics, man.
One of the things we got to do, we got to free ourselves from ancestral trauma, master soul lessons, and cultivate space for the abundant float that we are. We are the flow. We are the people. We create everything. Everything that everybody uses, most in this world, in this society, it was created by black people. We just been abused. They just abuse us and they misuse us, but we tired.
And know the difference between culture and subculture. Subculture is the child of culture. And then with us, we don't have a culture or subculture. We're the Asiatic. We're the original, man. Before us, there was none, and after us, there'll be no more. So that's why I'm trying to tell you, that's the object of this show. Press like, subscribe, hit that ring bell button, hit that notification. That sounds so cliche, but that's what's getting you the audience that you need. So I'm going to just say it like this. Man, press that motherfucking button, man, and give a nigga a little like or something, man, so we can go on and get this information out to the kids. I can't keep kissing your ass and all that shit and sucking your titties to get you to just press the motherfucker. Just press it because you don't like my black ass. How about that? Yeah. Just press like and leave a comment, Malik, fuck you, man. But take this game, go back to the hood, regurgitate it, take what's good like you did in the boys' bathroom, throw toilet paper on the wall with stick, don't let that shit go. And another thing, to the brothers in the streets is like, oh man, the shooters and the niggas ain't with that. Check this out, little Vietnam boy. When Vietnam was over, boy. I don't know who it is.
No name, no
all
name.
All I know is if you're against your own people uniting and accepting the challenge of change, how you gonna accept God? How you gonna expect God to forgive you?
But he failed to realize everybody in that room was a shooter. What the hell was he looking for?
But see, this is what I realized is that I realized.
That's why I say when the information is not properly given, and it wasn't supposed to give. Like I said, the thing is that when you got people that has representation at the table, these people who have this representation, it's their duty to get back and inform their crews. You know what I'm saying? So that we can get ready for the next.
It's a tree branch situation.
Yeah, it's a tree branch. So obvious the message ain't being given because there was people who had representation.
That's why we say all the time.
Here it is. If you ain't got the message, that means you ain't involved.
That's why we say all the time, the game is going to send you a bill. Tell them that we coming. Tell them that we coming.
Not only are we coming, but we coming like a dick in a porno. You ever seen a dick in a porno? That motherfucker coming like a porno, man. That's how we coming like a dick in a porno. That's all I'm trying to tell you,
and that
man.
part right there is game for sale.
Yeah.
Lock the door.
Yeah, lock the door because home invasions is real. So either you want peace with these niggas or you want a Western Sepulveda. Pick your poison, man. And where's all these motherfucking black leaders and politicians that ain't nobody gonna say nothing about that? Well, somebody got their check cut. Look here, press like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and let me know when your mama come home. I'm gonna be upstairs with that baby all on my chest.
Man, you can go anywhere in the world to get a couple of lives, but you come right here to get the truth. The truth. Tell them that we coming. Just tell them that we coming. Lock it in. Lock the door.
Because the game is gonna send you a bill.